Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
It's time for round 3 of the European Radical Sim Racing Championship tonight as the series heads to Watkins Glen for 2 more races of action. Apex Racing TV covering all the racing on our YouTube channel with myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and Aaron Smith. Samuli Kumo bringing you this stream on our channel. And we've already seen some fantastic racing this season at Monza and at Sebring last time out. And we go to a very familiar circuit to everyone on sim racing, and a circuit which is fantastic in all cars, none less than this Radical.
Absolutely, I think we're in for some really good racing. Watkins Glen never really does disappoint, does it? I remember back a couple months ago when we hosted the opening round of the Porsche Cup series, when me and you were doing that, Sam, and it was probably one of the best opening rounds we've ever had to an Apex series, and I expect similar results today. It's an amazing track. I think most people would agree that it's just some good fun. It's a track which you just can always expect to just have a laugh at. It's really good for hot lapping and even better for racing. Slipstream is going to be very important both in qualifying and in the race. It should be a close battle all the way until the end, hopefully in both the races that we have tonight.
Yeah, it should be really close, and so far the rounds this season have been very close, and we have got 2 races for you tonight. The second one with a reverse grid, and despite the reverse grid, it's a bit longer, and you do get some extra points to your tally. That is the points at the moment. Christoph Lipp up ahead, and Aaron, last time out he was really almost unbeatable. In qualifying, I think he had quarter of a second on the rest of the field. He was able to drive away from the pack in Heat 1 as well. And at Monza as well, you look back in that one and he really could have won both races on that occasion as well. I mean, Christoph has really established himself as the man to beat, even if the points don't necessarily reflect his dominance.
Yeah, I think the points situation is going to be hard for anyone to really jump ahead, just with the way that this championship looks to be going. But you're absolutely right. Lipp has been superb in these first few rounds. And we can expect him, of course, to be at the top relatively again today. And can anyone else really come at him? Lundy as well has looked pretty good, but just a couple of errors here and there, just slipping into both races last time out, costing him dear points. But the championship fighter should be really, really good in pros, and looks like he's going to be really good in the rest of our championships as well.
Yeah, there's the AMS. This one has been really up and down so far this season. It really could go any which way, and it's 43 points for Tom Mueller to lead that championship. But really, I think everyone in that category will feel like they could have done scored more points than they have. Euler, for example, scored 0 points in the first race of the season. So he's just one of the examples of a driver who hasn't necessarily been able to maximize his points tally. And so, yeah, it really is very open for these drivers. It's De Graaf in second place. I'd say it's been Leliva who's been the one who has impressed me most of all so far this season. And he's another one who actually didn't score any points at race 1 at Sebring, but back at Monza he looked really dominant, wasn't quite able to put it together in race 2, but I reckon Leliva is still ever so slightly the man to beat across the entire season.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. We commented about his performance in Sebring at Monza a couple of times. He definitely is one of the quicker drivers in that AM category, and well, what can he do tonight? We'll keep a close eye on him, but meanwhile we're just coming towards the latter stages of practice, and well, what do you practice here? Do you try and go on your own? Do you try and follow some other cars and get in that slipstream, which we all know is going to be oh so important around here? What's it going to be tonight? It's anyone's guess, to be honest, and I think that's the best part about racing, is you just don't know, unlike the poor souls that woke up early to watch the Japanese Grand Prix over 12 hours ago. I feel bad for anyone who did. I did, so I feel bad for myself. I'm an idiot. Don't know why I stayed up for the race, but oh well. I'm now in lack of sleep, and I get to enjoy this race instead.
Yeah, I didn't get up to it for it either. I tried to watch the highlights at 10:30 because I think because of the, well, not the highlights, but the full race replay at 10:30. But I think because of the red flag delay, I think it messed up the timing. So I haven't actually seen the full race. I just saw the highlights, which was disappointing. But yeah, apparently it wasn't very good anyway. So we move on. Qualifying is just starting now. The drivers are out on circuit by themselves and have an opportunity to set as many times as they like in this 10-minute long session. And here is my pick, at least, to win the AMS tonight. Dorian Leliva, race winner in race 1 back at Monza, the first race of the season. He led the championship briefly after that, but since then has struggled to get back on top of the standings. So something a little bit to prove tonight, and yeah, he'll be one of the first drivers to set a time. And yeah, the driver should get, I imagine, about 4 laps around this circuit and to set times.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and I think qualifying is going to be one of the more important parts of today. Of course, we've got the 2 races for you tonight, which are going to be where you score points, but qualifying, getting further up the grid at a track like this where slipstreaming can be very, very important. I honestly would say that pole isn't amazing. You just want to start very high up, as it's going to be slipstream training all the way down to last place, and once you get stuck in that, it's just a long battle all the way until the end of the race. And we'll see what the drivers can come up with in this qualifying session. But of course, I don't think they really would have been able to practice qualifying that easily during the practice session, purely because of the amount of other cars on track, and all by themselves now, just to have a moment of peace before this next about hour and a half of chaos kicks off.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of drivers out here tonight. It's really good to see that the drivers pretty much we got as many as we had back at Monza, so good that they're sticking with it. The radical community is such a fantastic one, and it has been. Oh no, Tom Euler, championship leader, in the wall. He'll take back and get back out on track. But yeah, the radical community is just one of the best in sim racing. Like ever since, even back in the SR8 days, when I got in the car and of course became BSR Radical Winter Series champion in the Radical SR8. Even back then, the community was really close knit, And that has remained today. And so these guys just jump into this car whenever they can. Let's say Sorensen, I'd say, is probably one of them. And he's executing the carousel at the moment.
You just had to sprinkle your championship anytime you can.
Well, also,
can't you?
I think it became a bit more impressive as well yesterday because Josh Thompson managed to keep his PESC license. He managed to finish 15th, so he keeps his PESC license. He'll be a PESC driver next season as well, Josh Thompson. And let's just say he was one of the other drivers on the grid, and didn't end as well for him as it did for me.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. So by that logic, I've beaten Will Power and Felipe Drogovic in F3. So therefore, I'm an IndyCar and Formula 2 world champion.
I think that's a
By
bit
your
big-headed, Aaron. I think we need to calm it down a bit. Yeah, I think you're extrapolating a bit too much. Yeah, so calm it down and be realistic. Yeah.
Well, as long as they end up removing the SR8 at some point, and just out of spite for you, then I'll be happy. I will be there on that day, but I'll suffer in silence for now and just let you have your moment, your one moment in the sunshine.
Thank you. Friedrich is currently on pole position. You saw Friedrich at the top as well during practice. So he is very quick. A driver who's really got faster over the years as well, Andres Friedrich. I remember commentating on him in the official series back in 2021, 2022. And, you know, he was good, Friedrich, but you would normally see him in the official series in top split maybe between 6th and 10th. He's upped his game though since then, and he is right up there with the top guys. But it's a familiar sight behind him, the championship leader, Christoph Lipp, currently in the 2nd place and on the front row.
Yeah, it's not really surprising at all. But yeah, I have to agree with you about Andreas. I've been here at Apex for about a year and a half, just over now, and one of the first series that I signed up to do commentating for was the Radical series, and yeah, I've seen Friedrich go from jump to jump, slowly getting better over time, and I think that's one of the most underrated parts about being a commentator, to be honest. Just in any sport, it's just the fact that you can watch the progression of certain drivers, certain teams, and just watch them come through the ranks, and it's just a nice little heartwarming thing to see slowly over time. He is currently on provisional pole. Let's see what Lipp can do. Goes ever so slightly ahead of Friedrich by 0.03 of a second. That's a fairly impressive lap time by the German. Let's see if anyone else can come near that. It's a fairly close qualifying at the moment, considering it's about 1:40 lap time. It's a second that separates the top 17, which bodes well for a good race. I think if I was to have a guess, the slipstream round here during the race will probably gain you half a second to about 0.7, since that middle sector doesn't really gain you a whole lot, but this first sector is absolutely huge for that slipstream, and especially in these sort of high downforcey cars, they're fairly high downforce. It's even more apparent, that slipstream, and yeah, this race should be good. It's super close in qualifying at the moment, and that's what you love to see.
Yeah, and Lipp might take pole position here. Obviously, I think he's going to need to improve if he's going to do that. But back at Sebring, he really seemed to have like a margin on everyone else, and I was getting a bit concerned in qualifying that he might dominate, and well, in the end he did, because he won both races. Tonight that's not the case. Like in practice he didn't have an advantage, and right now he's only 300 of a second ahead, as Dorian Olive is having a tricky qualifying, and that is maybe the trough of it. 1.2 seconds off the pacer. I mean, that's not that far. This is quite a long lap. And yet he is only 1.2 seconds off. It's just that the field is close. Here is Christoph Lipp. He's not pushing it on this lap. I'm trying to look out to see if anyone's improving. Andreas Friedrich just at the fastest second sector of anyone. Friedrich is looking quick, but the rest of his lap is fairly underwhelming. Mats Jestrenbacken, he improves and nestles himself into that very small gap, which is 3rd place.
Yeah, not too bad of a lap time there at all for the Norwegian, and once again it's really going to show just how close it is up the front. 7.5 hundredths copying the top 5. That is really impressive. Then it is about 0.2 back to to Barry in 6th place. But nevertheless, the fight for the top 5, and hopefully some other people can get involved as well. That's going to be a really good watch all throughout tonight. And well, I mean, it is a familiar face up front. You know, he's still got Lip on pole, and no matter how close it is. Can anyone get anywhere near that, though? Here is Frederick coming across the line again. Does not look like an improvement from him, although that looks like a bit of a cool-down lap. So this should be his final big attempt in qualifying. And I think everyone else who is still got one more lap to go should give it absolutely everything. And, well, we could have a different man on pole.
Well, at the moment it's not looking good because Lip is flying on his latest lap. He's just set 3 personal best sectors in the first 3 sectors. He is looking right on top of form. I think this might be able to shave another 10th or 2 off. How's the sector 4? It's not a personal best sector 4, but it's still very good. And it is one of the shorter sectors of this lap. So if he just executes this well, he'll be into the 39.2s, I think. He rounds the final corner, make sure not to pick up the 1x. He powers to the line, and the man going for another pole position. He's not on pole, but he returns there, and he does get into the point 2. Sorensen went to provisional pole, but for a fraction of a second. There are still improvements, though. Friedrich not improving much on this lap. Yeah, this is definitely not going to be enough for pole. He's 3/10 down on the fastest lap. I don't think it'll even be an improvement for him. And I'm not seeing anyone else of the top runners looking to threaten the pole sitter.
Yeah, I can't really see anyone else threatening that pole position from Lip. And, well, we were talking about it just a couple minutes ago. And, well, it goes to show why he is leading the championship at the moment. And why he looks to be one of the favourites for it going across this entire season. And, like I said, I think pole round here is going to be less of an advantage than it usually is. I think just starting at the front is more important, though, as it's just going to be back and forth between the top guys just constantly throughout these 2 races. And what I'm really excited for is when we get to that reverse grid. That is going to be where it's really interesting. What can the top drivers do to cut their way through the field?
Yeah, the reverse grid so far this season hasn't caused too much chaos, I'd say, but which is good. Well, it's sort of good. I mean, as spectators, we sort of want to see a bit of chaos, but it does, yeah, generate that challenge of getting your way through the order. And yeah, particularly at Monza, it was absolutely fantastic earlier on in the season. Overall, the meeting was fantastic at Sebring for Christoph Lip, and he's continued on that good form. He's on pole position for round 3 of the championship. Then it's Sorensen, who put a really good effort in. Friedrich in 3rd, then it's Jestrenbakken. Brown, Sebastian Lip, good to see him back. He actually missed the previous round of the championship this Seb. Then it's James Barry, John McHutchinson, Tom Euler, once again top of the AM Jazz. I think that's his best qualifying of the season as well, so he's just getting better and better. Dennis Kyriakopoulos in 10th place, then it's Larson Gonzaga in 12th. Gabriel Berger, 2nd place out of the AMs. There's Ianni, Bjorklund, Bremer, Scarrett, Clark, Skardinskas, Buson, Horg, Gregory, Locke, Leliva with a poor qualifying down in 24th. I think that might be his worst qualifying of the season. Guy, Robertson, Stensrud, Dean Gregory, Stefan Mellis, William Deek, and Sauli Reitinen. Rounding up the 31 drivers.
Very packed field, as we usually expect during this radical season. And, well, a huge field here at Watkins Glen is, well, you were talking about it. It usually causes chaos, and, well, we do love a bit of chaos, and brings a bit of spice, not only to the race itself, but to the championship. Who's going to come out on top? No idea.
It is unknown. A super competitive qualifying. Many rivals to this man, Christoph Lip, coming up in this race. And soon the lights will come on. It's just Veitinen not on the grid, so 30 drivers lining up as the 5 lights come on. And we are away racing for the first time tonight at Watkins Glen. It's not a great start for the pole sitter, but it's comfortably enough to keep ahead because of a poor start for Lasse Sorensen, who's down 3 places already from his initial gridding spots. He keeps ahead of Brown. It's Barry just sat behind as the chase up the hill for the first time the drivers go. lip, holding on, but only by 0.2 of a second ahead of Andreas Friedrich, who will try to put some pressure on him into the bus stop for the first time, but I don't think anything's going to come of it. So we see Kessel Larsen and Gabriel Berger both gaining places on John Hutchinson.
Oh,
There's
no.
a huge crash in the background. That has involved at least 2 drivers, 3 drivers now, as the car number 8 of Dean Gregory gets involved. Craig Gregory was another one involved, and I think Stensrud was the 3rd casualty.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought that looked a bit bigger than it actually was, but it was just Craig Gregory, I mean, many G-forces. I don't even want to know how many he just pulled in his virtual car, but good thing we're just on a sim and not in real life, because that could have been absolutely catastrophic. But he's definitely down and out of it. His car is absolutely totaled. You've got about 2 cars in the pit lane already at the moment, some flashing going on, and of course this first lap is your best opportunity to get ahead of people nice and easy. This is Bjorklund trying to defend on the inside against Berger, who's had a pretty decent start. Up the inside he goes, bit of contact between those 2 Bergers, really fighting this one hard, but eventually has to give it up to Bjorklund. That was a nice little bit of defense from the Norwegian, just biding his time, waiting for Berger to just go a little bit deep, and got back into 11th place. Bit of a gap starting to form between these drivers now, as it's between 4th and 5th. It's over a second already, and that's not going to bode well for them at all. Up the inside, we are looking at Skardinskas, who's trying to defend from Leliva, who of course didn't really have a good qualifying. I think we touched upon it, that he was down in 24th, but has made a bit of ground at the moment. Can he make up a little bit more? But to his AM rival Euler up in 8th place, it's a long way to go from here.
Yeah, it's as they all almost occupy the same bit of real estate. Kyriakopoulos has been involved in something. Oh, there he is. That is a very common incident, and I'm sure he won't be the first to bin it at the loop tonight. And nestled in the barrier, I think, having to tow back to the pits as well. One of our most experienced drivers, Yanni, now dropping out with a connection, but he is back again. Hopefully we don't see any more of that dropping out for him over the next few laps. But yeah, you're absolutely right about the gap between 4th and 5th at the moment, and that will leave Barry very vulnerable, seeing that he won't have the draft on the cars ahead. It might give some encouragement to the likes of Brown to be able to overtake. So head around this final part of the lap once again, and yeah, still Euler doing everything he needs to do. Of course, it's your points in your class, or your position in class, which gets you the points. So Euler currently getting maximum points for his total.
Yeah, I think this is the one time where Euler will just be a bit like, oh god damn, why can't it just be for position instead, like it is in most of our series on Apex, where I mean he would be getting a huge chunk of points currently in 9th place, and Berger would be getting a nice chunk as well. He's in 12th, and then it's all the way down to 19th, where Leliva just got past Skardinskas for 18th place. I think Skardinskas had a bit of a poor exit coming out of the first corner. And finally, we've had a change for the lead. Friedrich has moved his way past Lip. I imagine that's a strategic little bit of overtaking there between the 2 drivers, just slipstreaming one another. And well, we've only got about 11 minutes to go in this race, and you know, the next race is a lot longer than that, so they'll have to be a bit more patient. I think I just saw a car spinning off in the background, and I think it's Melis, and oh, that's a big impact with the wall. The back of his SR10 looking very wounded indeed, and yeah, he's crabbing already. That car's going to need either a tow or a big repair job as he comes back to the pits. But like you said, going through that bus stop chicane, it is really easy to drop it, and we saw it a couple months ago when we were here on the Apex Endurance series and the prototypes, where it's so easy on that inside curb. In these higher downforce cars, you just bottom out, and there's absolutely nothing you can do, and you're just a passenger heading into the wall at nearly about 160 odd miles an hour.
Yeah, it's just threading the needle, isn't it? You want to take pretty much all the curve. You want to get as close to the wall as you possibly can, and it's if you don't quite catch it right, that it can spell disaster. The Leliva having a good time. He's up to 3rd place now out of the average drivers, albeit just saying that he did just lose out to Scarrett. He didn't momentarily have that position for himself. All three of them having a slightly poor exit onto the pit straight. Now it's getting even worse for the leader, because he might lose out to Bremer, who is gaining 2 places here as he storms through the order. There's also been a change for Sorensen, who's been able to move up into 2nd place. What a run that was for Sorensen. Oh, but he's overshot it now. This could be important for the race lead, as going wide was Lip. And yeah, many changes over there.
Yeah, it was just a very awkward sequence there where Sorensen, I think, just went a bit too deep and had to come back on the track. I don't think he actually went off it at any point, so he had every right to do what he did, and Lip just didn't really expect him to come across to the left as suddenly as he did. Had to take avoiding action and nearly lost out to Christian Barkin as well. Luckily, he's just held on to 3rd place, but, excuse me, Frederick has benefited from this massively. He's nearly 1.1 seconds ahead, although has just lost about a 10th coming through turns 9, and now we're coming towards turn 10. And the slipstream, I think, is all the way back to about 1.5 seconds around that. But looks like Sorensen just struggling a touch there through those last few corners. Lost 2/10 to Frederick, and that gap is really gonna make or break the rest of this race. If Frederick can break away, it's pretty much game over for that 1st place spot.
Here is something involving during the lever. Oh, he's got the curve wrong.
No.
And that is how he ended up.
So easy.
And that was the case of not taking enough curb. And the car gets unsettled where half the car is on the curb, half the car isn't on the curb. And you actually just need to fly it through that. It's quite annoying that iRacing... Oh, that's getting messy behind. Very close. I think they managed to survive. That was the orange car who I was concerned for, of John McCutcheon, but he somehow managed to get through the corners. He's actually won up 1 place as well as McCutcheon from his start. He actually had a very bad lap point, lost 2 places by turn 1, but he's more than made up for it. He's running in a decent 7th place. Another one of these absolute veterans of the Radicals, going all the way back to the SR8 days.
Honestly curious when the next Radical will eventually come to the to iRacing.
It took about 10 years for the SR8 leave, so we might be waiting a while.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Radicals are definitely one of the just easy cars to just jump in, and one of the oldest series in iRacing, as you mentioned. The SR8 is absolutely ancient, and I think you'll be. It's hard to find many people who unfortunately would rather drive this car than the SR8. We know it's slower, we know, but there's just something about the SR8 which is just.
It doesn't feel slower.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're on the ragged edge.
And I would say this car is much more realistic, I think, than the SR8. I'm not an expert, and I know drivers, you know, who are part of the community who have driven these cars in real life. The SR8, I think, was like very unrealistic, where it was way too grippy, like you see some on the board. But that is what made it very fun. Whereas this thing is a bit more of a handful. Brown, by the way, has just got past Barry for 5th. Oh, Yesterback's gone off. He's the next driver. He's fortunate not to properly spin there. It seems like he's just gone wide, and that will drop him down the order. He's now down into 13th position. That's ugly there for Mats Yesterbacken, who qualified up in P4. Let's see how it happened. Oh, he's blindsided. And again, didn't take enough curb, and he's fortunate not to find the wall.
I think about a lap ago when I think it was the lever that did it. I think you were going to touch on the fact that you were surprised iRacing hasn't done anything about it, and I'm inclined to agree. I genuinely think that bus stop does need changing ever so slightly.
The whole physics needs to change, because I was racing IndyCar around here. I was taking that line. You should not be able to take that line in an IndyCar. You should be avoiding the curves at all costs in IndyCar. So it's a fundamental iRacing issue, which, for example, ACC, as far as I'm aware on this track, doesn't have that same issue.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know they're 2 completely different games, but I mean, Watkins Glen is one of the more popular tracks, and it's very unfriendly now because of that bus stop. And I think we saw, we touched upon it earlier about the prototypes. about half the grid had some kind of issue through that chicane, and it is a bit, because if you do get it ever so slightly wrong, it's over. There is nothing you can do, and you will go spinning. And well, speaking of spinning, Skadinskas has gone for one on the exit of turn 1, and that's not a place where you see spins very often. It's a fairly simple sequence of corners. Maybe he just took too much speed, lost it on the brakes, or maybe got beached on the outside curb. Not quite sure what happened to the Lithuanian, but either way, he's all the way down now in 23rd place. And he's now had another issue in the corner that we were just talking about, and he's into the wall. And well, if the fact we were just talking about it, and someone's just gone and binned it again, we genuinely might end up with about half the grid who've had an incident through there. I think something's happened to Brown now. Yeah,
he'd lost the position earlier on in the lap to McCutchinson, so McCutchinson has got past Brown and Barry. But now Brown's had his own incident, so there is McCutchinson just in front of him, Barry behind him. And he's going to lose it all by himself. A slight opposite lock, and then it just keeps on getting away from them, that rear end of his car. And once you have one slide as well, the tyres overheat and you lose so much grip, so that when the second slide comes in, it really is unrecoverable. And this circuit is fairly notorious for its lack of space around the circuit. The walls come up to you very quick, and they did there for Brown. Fortunately, it seems like he hasn't got too much damage.
I wouldn't even say it's just an issue of this track not being wide enough. It's just very high speed, isn't it? There's not really a low speed corner of this track. I guess turn 8 and 9, where the hill section is, I guess you could count that as a low speed corner, but everywhere else is high to medium speed. And well, that's why a lot of people do love this track. Excuse me once again, as we see our top drivers making their way through the chicane, threading the needle there, especially on that last curb on the inside just before turn 5. You really do have to dip a wheel onto the grass to maximize your speed through that corner. I think Christian Barkin's had another issue, and that looks to be on the exit of the bus stop again. Honestly, they're dropping like flies.
Yeah, it's ugly for Yesterbacken. Had he already lost a position as well? Because no, it was Bjorklund who got past Euler. And then, yeah, Yesterbacken was just ahead of those guys. Here we go. So he's already been able to pull off that one very impressively. Oh, has he been given a help? He has.
Yes, yeah.
Ouch. Was that Euler who hits him?
Iani.
No, it was Iani.
Oh dear, he's actually crashed into somebody else there. I think that was Brown, who of course had that incident just a lap ago. And so, well, he didn't come back onto the track in the best of ways, got to be honest. And now Brown has even more damage, and is going to try and get back ahead of Iani, who momentarily was behind the Brit. But of course, picking the number 13 on your car maybe isn't the best choice over the course of the season.
Ooh,
and
no.
I think Lip, it's a big accident for Lip.
Christoph Lip, our championship leader, with a huge issue. And he was racing for second position, chasing down Lasse Sorensen, but he has pushed it too hard, and this will have big implications. Slaps it into the wall, and oh no!
Oh no,
and
that's Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, who was having a storming drive through the order, was involved in it, and that will surely be damage that he needs to take a repair for. And both of their evenings are ruined because they will not be within the reverse grid. John McHutchinson will be furious with that, because had he taken that position, he would have been leading the championship.
Yeah, I think there might be some words said about that from John McHutchinson. I don't really blame him at all. I'm not quite sure what Lip was trying to do. I don't know if the car was just rolling by itself and he could really control it, but he just seemed to roll back onto the racing line, and it didn't really leave McHutchinson anywhere to go. And unfortunately, it's left to McHutchinson. We're just dragging his right front tyre all the way around this circuit. He's of course going to have to come in.
Check the flag.
Actually, I was about to say, there's no point. We're about to finish the race, and Friedrich has won this first heat race at Watkins Glen, and it was a pretty comfortable win from him, actually. As soon as he got ahead from Lip, he didn't really look behind. and has won the race ahead of Sorensen, who had his issues, but eventually held off Lip. And of course, Lip says on our timing screens that Lip is finishing 6th. I don't think
that's the other Lip. That's Sebastian.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. Yep, that's me being an idiot, and Sebastian sneaking his way up into 6th place. Yeah, Christoph Lip, like you said, big accident for him, big implications on the championship, and same for Hutchinson. He's finished all the way down in 22nd place. Well, we expected drama in this first race, and we definitely got it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the point situation now is. And by the way, congratulations to Tom Euler for getting another race win. Berger pushed him pretty hard. They ended up in 7th and 8th with the chaos that happened in front of them. But of course, Christoph Lip crashed out. He was leading the championship. Carter isn't around tonight, so obviously he didn't score points. John McHutchinson crashed out. James Barry had a very good race in the end. So Barry, after that, will be much closer. He'll still be 4th in the championship, I think, but the top 3 didn't score like any points there. So what a crazy race. That is a rarity. And obviously Barry has the much better qualify or starting position for race 2. So yeah, what a flip of fortunes for these guys.
Well, I mean, I said before that I expected the second race to be the absolute banger because of that reverse grid. Well, it's going to be a reverse grid, and we're going to have 2 drivers driving, well, very angrily, I suspect, coming through the field in Christoph Lip and McHutchinson. And it's going to be a tall order for both of those guys to finish, honestly, anywhere near the top 10. They have the pace, and it is a long race, but anything can happen. As we've just seen, mistakes are plenty in that first race, and well, I think we're in for an absolute treat.
Yeah, really is going to be a good second race. There is Pujic winning out, and yeah, of course, good points as well for a few of the amateur drivers. Drivers get to have a little bit of a break. In the end, it was a bit chaotic, but the vast majority of the drivers were able to get to the end. Christoph Lip there down in 26th position. Reitzenen down in 31st. He was the one driver who did not take a start. Craig Gregory, the one driver who unfortunately retired mid-race. So yeah, we wait to see what's going to happen then in this race 2 of the evening. And still the drivers getting, a few drivers at least getting out on track. I think just the 3 of them, the rest of them taking a break.
Yeah, don't blame them. That's usually how I treated the warm-up, to be honest, just to have a stretch, have a chat with maybe some of my teammates or a friend or something, just to say, you know, that first race went amazing, that first race went not so amazing, go to the loo, grab a bite to eat, have a drink, whatever. I don't really think many people use these warm-up sessions to actually, you know, go and warm up for the next race. It was always just to have a couple minutes to, you know, have a text, go say hi to your mum, whatever you were going to do.
Yeah, I think maybe that, you know what, that would be a really good policy of the series, wouldn't it? If between races you had to you know, chat with your parents, and that'd just be nice. I'm sure the parents would appreciate that. I think the series would just have a nice vibe about it. It'd help the drivers cool down between one race or another. A bit of, you know, encouragement as well. So I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that. Maybe next season of ARL we'll do that. So yeah. I mean, off the start on this second race, I think we were able to avoid incidents on the most part. It was just that slight crash at the back, but I do always get a bit nervy, Aaron, on this circuit. It's not as bad as it used to be back in the old scan days of this track, because now the S's section is much wider. It's much easier to go flat out. There's barely a car in iRacing which doesn't go flat out through the S's now. But I do always get concerned there because it is a choke point, and yeah, I just hope that they all get through unscathed as they did in race 1.
Well, I mean, they didn't quite get through unscathed.
Well, apart from right at the back, yeah. There were 3 weren't there who was involved at the back.
Yeah, I do know what you mean though. We have seen many accidents where it's like one car has a slight, just a tiny issue, and it all just, yeah, it ended for everyone. And I think I've been involved in that crash before. I think it was one of the seasons. I think it was my championship winning season a year and a half ago in F3 at Watkins Glen, where there was a slight issue coming out of turn 4. I think I went to one side because my iRacing spotter said one thing, my crew chief said another thing. I got confused and like tried to go in both directions at the same time because I was just confused. I was getting different call-outs from different spotters, and yeah, I think it ended in tears for the people behind me. I think I got through it like Lightning McQueen, but I think I ended up getting a penalty, which was no ideal.
No. Not always the best outcome, but yeah, it really is a menace, and yeah, hopefully we will avoid it. Apologies, by the way, for saying earlier on that there's a reverse grid. Of course, there's no reverse grid in this series. It's just the results from race 1 make the grid for race 2. So, my bad on that one. And so, of course, it just makes those results from race 1 even more significant, and the late issue between Christoph Lipp and John McHutchinson ever more prominent. They are going to do well to score more than a smattering of points tonight, and maybe Christoph might even have a penalty as well, potentially, for the next race if his rolling across the circuit is deemed to be worthy of an offence. There is Andreas Friedrich once again on pole position, and then it's Sorensen, Barry, Larson, Bjorklund, Lipp of the Sebastian variety. Then it's Euler and Berger, who are in for a lot of points tonight if they can keep their noses clean tonight. Then it's Gonzaga, Buson, Ianni, Scarrett, and I'll let the rest of the order go through because we are not far away from getting going now.
No, not at all. And yeah, the fact that there's no reverse grid is a bit like, okay, that's just changed this race up a little bit from what we were thinking. Just waiting for a couple more drivers to get on the grid, but still got those 2 drivers at the back to look out for.
Yes, as now everyone is onto grid. Once again, 30 drivers on track. And race 2 of the evening at Watkins Glen is underway. And Friedrich, going for a double race victory, gets a storming start. He's already half a second clear of the rest. Sorensen with a much better start than what he got in race 1, so he'll keep that second position. It's Barry and then Larson, Bjorklund and Co. Berger already off the circuit. That's not a good start for our second place man in the amateur category. He's going to have a lot of catching up to do now as we watch Bjorklund try to hold on against the likes of Lipp and Euler. Larson actually at the front of that pack as Friedrich is going to lose the lead. What a run for Lasse Sorensen on this lap 1. He got a fantastic launch through the first corner and was able to pass on the back straight. A couple of the IGL coatings cars going alongside through the bus stop. They're covering the entire perimeter of the circuit. Nicely done by those guys. But it is a poor start for Berger, who was involved in that one and has dropped down 8 places from his race start.
Yeah, it's possibly the worst time to make a mistake is on that first lap, especially in that first corner where you'll just watch the entire grid just go steaming by with a smirk on their face. And surprisingly, we've made it through that completely cleanly, apart from, of course, Berger going off the track. But no crashes, no spins so far. Everyone just trying to keep it on the track, seemingly. I mean, it's a very, very long race. There's 45 minutes. And, oh, well, there is our first spin. And that is William Decay going all the way down to 30th place. And he's got a tall order for the rest of this race. But, of course, we're going to keep an eye on Christoph Lipp and McHutchinson. At the moment, Hutchinson's up 4 places and Lipp is up 6. They've gotten a storming start. And by the looks of it, like you said, Frazier got an amazing start, but the run from Lasse Sorensen was absolutely extraordinary. And, well, it's not going to be the end of it, though, as, of course, Friedrich is still in that slipstream and might try and retake the lead. But there's a bit of a gap forming already at the top, to be honest. Expected it to be a bit closer. Maybe there's a bit of a difference, maybe a bit of a concertina effect from some of these drivers just struggling on this opening lap. As Bjorklund now overtakes Sebastian Lipp heading into this bus stop chicane. Are we going to see any incidents at the chicane this time round? You'd expect it with the cars following close to each other, but surprisingly everyone gets through cleanly. This is Christoph Lipp going around the outside now of Haug, I believe. Oh, it's a big accident, and that's Leliva, I think, who was involved in Brown. He's hit another car. That's 3 cars going round, and that's absolute tragedy for Leliva, who already had a bit of a difficult race 1, losing out points to his championship rivals, and he's going to lose out even more points. That's huge damage for the French driver.
That is bad news for him. Was it his fault? Did he crowd out? Oh, I don't know. They definitely made contact. It wasn't light contact. It wasn't unlucky. They were making a dart towards one another. Their trajectories was always going to cross over, and yeah, damage was caused from it. 45-minute race, so you may need to pit now. Oh, and he's just had a spin, and that very much does look like he has got some damage, and he has even more damage now, and he's towed back. Oh, well, what a shame for the lead. I think they do get a drop score in this series to the drivers, and this one will be his. Paul Clark is in 11th position as it stands. Be getting some decent points for that one, Wood Clark. He's actually racing the amateur driver behind him of Locke. So those two won't change each other's amount of points that they score, but it is very significant for the drivers around them, and it's nice to have a bit of a buffer to the drivers you are properly racing. Behind them, another move, I think that was for, well, it was one of the IGL Coatings cars behind. Maybe it was Scarrett who was just making his way through the order there up into 15th, just behind Bremer, and these guys ahead of the charging McHutchinson and Lipp.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the battle on track that I'm looking forward to at the moment is the fact that Lipp is directly behind McHutchinson, albeit about a second back, and could be a bit tricky with them both trying to get through traffic. And this is what I was talking about with that slipstream train. Looks like Ian is just blipping in and out of existence. As look at just how much pace difference you can tell Hutchinson is just holding back. Is he going to go up the inside here of Berger? Would not be surprised if Berger gets to keep this one. He had the momentum, and it looks like Hutchinson is unsurprisingly just getting a bit desperate behind these guys, just trying to find any way through. It's also allowing Lipp to catch back up. That gap that I said was a second about, what, 20 seconds ago, is now down to around 0.6 of a second. Oh, it's a good exit, though, from Hutchinson. He could get 2 in one corner if he times this right, but chooses to back out and play the game patient. Is he going to try and gain 1, though, on the inside of Scarrett? Doesn't get a good exit, though. This is just so frustrating for McHutchinson. He's just stuck behind these guys while they try and fight each other. They obviously have the track position and the slipstream of the cars ahead, but it looks like Hutchinson's actually going to get a decent run. Is Scarrett going to go defensive? He is. Oh, this corner is really, really awkward, and yeah, McHutchinson's just to back out. And oh, that's an off for Berger into the wall. And the driver that had such a good first race, and up the inside goes Hutchinson on Scarrett as well. A lot of overtakes happening, and unfortunate for Berger, who's now had his second incident of this race, and by far the biggest one.
That will be his aspirations for a good points tally in this race 2 gone. But McHutchinson, yeah, had to be a bit patient. His gap that he had grown to Lipp was pretty much destroyed during that, but at least he has got 1 car between himself and Christoph Lipp, and even Lipp, I imagine, will probably be driving quite nicely against McHutchinson, considering what happened earlier on. Whether it really was worthy of penalty or not, I'm sure he does feel a bit of guilt about it. And there goes McHutchinson, another overtake. Now he's got 2 cars between him and Christoph Lipp. I believe it's top 15 drivers get points out of the pro, well, out of, well, in each of the classes. So these guys would be getting points, and every position they gain in class is an extra point to their tally.
Yeah, every single point matters, but I think some of these guys probably are aware that Hutchinson and Lipp are going to be quicker than them. Surprised at the lack of... I would have expected Lipp to have come through quicker at the moment, considering how much pace he had on the rest of the field. And honestly, I was expecting him to close up to the back of Hutchinson, and we'd have an absolutely spectacular battle between those two. but it looks like we might have to wait a little bit longer for that. As Hutchinson goes around the outside of Bremer and goes very, very wide. Can he keep it out of the barriers? And he can, but that unfortunately has meant that he's dropped a lot of places. And speaking of a man who's dropped a lot of places, what on earth has happened to Lip?
Yeah, what's happened now to him?
He's just blipped out of existence, and I know it. I thought it was just a connection problem for him at first, but either it's a severe connection issue or his PC's crashed, iRacing's crashed, something's gone seriously wrong for him. But I mean, we're talking about the drop rounds. Well, this is most definitely going to be his drop round, and well, drop rounds are just something you have to take into account over the course of a season, because sure, you get one chance to maybe make a mistake or whatever, but once that one chance is gone, say if a lapped car, you know, maybe takes you out, or someone else has some kind of issue and takes you out, it really can have a detriment on your championship. And well, Christoph Lip's going to have to be careful now for the rest of this season, as it does not look like we're going to be seeing him at all. He's completely gone. I'm going to have a guess it's connection related, and he will be absolutely gutted, and it's just not been his day at all.
Connection dropped due to upload packet loss. So it wasn't a manual disconnect. It was probably a connection issue, as you say. So awful. Totally awful. Gonzaga got ahead of Buson recently. We're watching Larson ahead of Bjorklund. Bjorklund's had a good time of it so far. These guys still in the same place as they started. IGL Coasters versus SimRacing Norway, two of the best teams from that area of the world. Very often see them go up against each other, whether it be in these radical cars or even in single seaters as well. And once again, that rivalry being renewed in front of our eyes. By the way, top three, so-and-so, Fujik and Barry, all still very close to one another. And I think if it were to end like this, James Barry, I think, would be in the lead of the championship. And he came into this round 14 points off in 4th place. But he's going to score a lot of points, and his main championship rivals are not going to. McHutchinson might be able to salvage the championship lead after this one. But it has been a bad time for the top three in the title race tonight here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Lundy just hasn't turned up tonight, and obviously we're not 100% on what that reason is, but hopefully we can see him a couple more races this season, as he has been very entertaining to watch in these first few races. He gave us a lot to talk about, especially at Monza and Sebring, and is a damn good driver when it matters, and gives an extra spice to the championship. And well, unfortunately, like you said, McHutchinson and Lip dropping points. But there goes Bjorklund on Larson. This battle has been going on for a while, and he gets past. Oh, that's Larson going for a spin, and just manages to keep it out of the wall. And again, everyone being claimed by that curb. And honestly, I'm surprised that curb hasn't been given a name, to be honest, because it needs to be given like some kind of Greek name, like something sinister, because it's an undertaker, I guess you'd say. It just takes people out without even thinking about it.
And once again, it's following another driver through it, and you can see it's obvious to see every time that happens. One of those tyres is not on the curb, or not fully on the curb at least. Yeah, so it's the car. Larson, by the way, had a good chance at moving up into 2nd place in the championship, as he kept where he was, but instead he has lost a few points there, and now needs to make them back up again. Also another driver who I've realised isn't his night, Lucas Riz. Very good last time out, got at least 1 second place. He may have got 2 podiums actually last time, did Riz. But unfortunately, yeah, another driver who has not been able to make tonight's meeting. Adam Locke in 12th position. He's got the hard-charging John McHutchinson lined up behind him. And of course, we saw McHutchinson make a mistake a few moments ago, but he seems to be getting back on his way. Yestrom Bakken, by the way, getting back ahead of Gonzaga. That's for P7.
I do think the rest of... go on. I did not mean to interrupt you.
No. I said my bit, and then I saw something happen, and that was Mick Hutchinson overtaking Locke, and Locke not putting up much of a fight.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. I did say that I think a lot of drivers will just see McCutchinson and I was going to say Lip, but of course he's just vanished from existence. But I think they'll just kind of maybe fight him a little bit, but once they realise that they'll just end up losing more than they'll gain, they'll just let McCutchinson go on by. And he's making some decent pace at the moment, and definitely looks to be on for at least a top 10 finish. We're only about 15 minutes into this race, although saying that has gone a bit deep into turn 8. And that's not at all what the Scotsman wants to be doing. But definitely has some good pace, and in the top 10 I can see him. Not sure where though. I think the most he might be able to get is 7th, since the gap between Gresham Barkin and Euler is quite big. But I think he has a decent shot at getting a decent point finish, but I don't know about the championship lead.
Yeah, I think he'd need to get up into like 6th maybe for the championship lead, which of course he did have after the first round of the title, the first round of the championship. Actually, no, he'd need to be higher than that. Yeah, because Barry, yeah, he'd need to beat Barry. So my bad. Yeah, he's getting a lot of places, but he's getting this one at least. This is for P12 on Clark. Locke is coming with him here. What overspeed Locke has got a really good run up the hill, but he cannot get past, and these guys will lose each other a lot of time with that compromised lines through the bus stop section. Bremer the next to potentially pounce. By the way, of course, Tom Euler leading the way in the outer category. This would be Euler's 4th consecutive race win in the series, which is insane, and that it will be some 60 points to his total in 2 race meetings, which is absolutely colossal, considering that the most that anyone scored in the outer category was 43 points in the first 2 meetings. He scored 60 in the next 2. That's yeah, pretty crazy.
I mean, considering the fact that he's keeping up with the pros right now, might there need to be some talk about him being bumped up? Because
well, is it too late though? I mean, it's something that the organisers have to decide for themselves. But I think it's too late. I think Euler. To be fair though, I don't think Euler's been dominant in the ends. It's just tonight, the others have made mistakes. Like, credit to Berger, he was keeping him really honest earlier on, but he made a mistake.
Yeah, I guess you're right, and it's difficult when someone is sort of teetering on that edge of being an AM and a pro or a pro-am or whatever. You had that issue with a certain driver a couple of years ago.
Oh, are you referring to when I took part in the BSR Radical Winter Series Championship and I was
Brilliant.
an amateur driver? And I actually won the overall championship. So I thank you for highlights. And I think that's a really good example. And yeah, that was tricky.
Oh, it's always about you, isn't it? Well, you stick in your. I was going to mention what car you had, but I've honestly forgotten. I think it's a 107, whatever. Your tiny little automobile. You pipe down, young man. You can have your one championship.
You can't call me a young man. You can't call me a young man.
I can, and I did. There you have it. Have it. Well, there's you might have won one championship, but how long ago was that?
Well, that was 2019. But not quite for Bremer. No, he's got a pretty good exit here. He could be able to make this one on Paul Clark. Clark with his nose slightly ahead, but now takes a very wide line. I think he might lose another place here. This is going to be very awkward for these drivers into the final corner, but eventually getting ahead, and Clark might lose 3 places here because his line is compromised again, and it's Alexander Scuret, the next to line him up, dips out of the slipstream, and Clark is going to put a bit more of a fight up for this one, but he's wide again, and he might be offline again, and I'm concerned that the car number 16 of Kiriakopoulos might be chasing after him. I think now that Clark's got the draft of the car ahead, he might be safe, but yeah, that wasn't a bad few corners for him.
Yeah, it just seemed like he didn't want to take the racing line at all through any of those corners. And just compromise after compromise. And like you said, just every single exit. And oh no, that's going to be even worse for him. And surely he's going to lose another place here. And actually, he does manage to keep on hold to that 16th place at the moment, but just clouted the inside wall there, heading into the bus stop. And I think he's going to lose the place now to Kirakopoulos. It's getting oh so close between those two. It might go 3 wide as we head into turn 7. And there's Berger going up the inside. And Clark's had an absolutely awful lap. I mean, what he was all the way up in, what was it, like 13th, 14th, and now he's all the way down in 18th. I don't know if you could ask for a worse lap. I mean, of course, having a spin or a crash, but that's probably the worst kind of lap you can have, or keeping all 4 wheels on the track.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all 4 wheels were on the track, weren't they? Because they just went into the wall, really. And I doubt he would have got a 1x for that. Maybe a 0x, or maybe a 4x. I mean, it looked pretty hefty, that contact for him. Almost too, well, it's not too good a line, he hit the wall, but like, he was doing the right thing. And the closer you get to that wall, the better. But he pushed it too hard. As in the lead, meanwhile, James Barry is not with these drivers anymore. He has been dropped. It is a 2-horse race. That's the lead between Sorensen and Friedrich. Friedrich led in the early corners, and then Sorensen got past him at the bus stop on lap 1. He has just been following ever since as Friedrich. The drivers will need to take a pit stop, remember, as well in this race. So maybe a fuel-saving strat currently going on for Friedrich, thinking I can go 1 lap further, or maybe he is pushing 100% and just they're very evenly matched.
Could be, to be honest. Although in that first race, Friedrich had absolutely amazing pace. Maybe it was just a clear air though, just giving him that confidence, just to push a bit more. But you could be right, could just be saving a bit of tyres and fuel, but judging by the fact we're on board with him right now, it doesn't seem to be the case. It does seem to be that he is just struggling a bit for pace, and I'm noticing as well through that bus stop that he does tend to lose a bit of time, and it just seems like following another car through there is really, really treacherous, as it can disorient you a little bit, it can just put you offline, and you'll wait, you know, what will happen to you is what we've seen happen time and time again tonight, where you just get one little corner slightly wrong and it ends your race and you go into a spin. But it does look like Friedrich is pushing, but I just don't think he's quite got the pace. I think the thing that is keeping him in this race right now, honestly, is the slipstream. I think Sorensen actually might be quicker than him. Looks more comfortable anyway, although maybe Sorensen is playing a bit of mind games. He is weaving though, as this gap does come down to about 0.4 of a second. Bit of a lift off there from Friedrich. There's a better run through the bus stop this time though for him. Much better than it was on the previous lap, where he lost like 0.2 of a second through there. And he's gone okay on this lap. It does look to be struggling a tiny bit on those tyres, especially. We're 20 minutes in and got another 25 to go.
By the way, Harmon just saying us in chat, there are no drop weeks. So apologies for that. I thought that there was 1 drop week across the season, but there is no drop week. So that is really bad then, apologise. Makes it good for us though, because it makes the points easy to calculate. So we don't need to consider whether a round will count or not. We can just add up the points, and it's a fairly simple point system anyway. Apart from the incidents, because you do get bonus points for not getting in the incidents. I think it is, if you get no instance in race 1, you get 1 bonus point. If you get no instance in race 2, you get 2 bonus points. But if you only get 1 or 2 instances in race 2, you get 1 bonus point. So yeah, you can get up to 3 bonus points, I believe, across the meeting by getting no incidents. So that is something that unfortunately we do not know. The admins can know, but even if we did know, we wouldn't say it on stream, because, you know, Jazz can take advantage of it, like, you know, give someone a 4x in order to push them over the instant limit, for example. Yeah, we will not know that, but apart from that, we can calculate the positions at least. And if the positions were to stay as they were, it would be James Barry at the top of the championship, I believe, Andreas Friedrich in a close 2nd place, and John McCutcheon in third.
I mean, the fact that Lip, I don't know what the rules are concerning people who finish a lap down. I don't know if it's similar to the way that Apex does it, where you still do finish, you still do get points. I'm not quite sure how that one works.
Lip, well, you need to finish top 10 in race 1 to score points and top 15 in race 2. I don't think, he definitely wasn't top 10 in race 1 in the pros, and I don't think he's top 15 in this one. He might, I'm not sure if he is top 15 because of the class, but yeah, I think he just missed out. So yeah, I think even if he was classified, he wouldn't get any points.
Yeah, so Christoph Lip not going to score any points today by the looks of it, and well, I can't imagine how that must feel for him. Although this man, John McCutcheon, trying to gain some points back, of course, after his poor finish in race 1. I don't know if he would have scored any points in race 1 either.
Maybe yeah, because it was only top 10. So yeah, he wouldn't have. No?
Yeah, this is very, very interesting calculations going on here in the Apex Racing production booth right now. Who would expect that we're doing GCSE maths yeah, maybe it's not as complicated as GCSE maths. It's giving me PTSD of algebra, all those.
I have nightmares about not specifically tests, but about revision. Like I get told in my dreams, "Oh yeah, you got that test in a month, didn't you?" And I shudder. I think no, and I don't know anything in the dream. I don't know anything, so I'm gonna have to revise. That's what I fear, revising. Awful stuff. Hopefully everyone who's watching isn't having to put themselves through that at the moment.
Honestly, I never really enjoyed revising. I think the problem with I never could figure out how to properly revise, because I mean everyone revises in their own way, don't they? Where you know you kind of figure out your own knowledge and try to grasp at everything. But well, maybe we should stop talking about our nightmares and our previous experiences as 16-year-olds and focus on the on-track racing instead, which is far more entertaining than anything that happened during my 6 years in secondary school. As Scarrett has just come in to pit, one of the first drivers to do so, manages to stay ahead of Kirakopoulos and holds on to 20th place for now. I think he is the first driver to hit in terms of on-track position, and that's looking good for him so far. We'll have to wait and see where he lines up later on when everyone else comes in to pit. But as a lock is now another driver to come into the pits. I think these guys can go up until about, I think we figured it out, it was about 35 minutes is the longest they can go.
Yeah, is it the same as it's the official series like baseline, isn't it? And the official series goes like 25 minutes or so. It's lapped, so I think it's based on distance as well, so it does vary quite a bit. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like 30 to 35 minutes.
Yeah, and it's just adds a bit of spice into these races, which obviously we don't really see very often in Radicals, where it is usually just a sprint all the way till the end. Well, they're just spicing it up with a little bit of strategy this time round and see who can jump ahead of who. And I'm interested to see, because Watkins Glen tends to be high degradation round here, and honestly, your tyres can last probably one stint. And that's about it, from my experience in prototypes anyway. And I wonder how similar it is in these Radicals, as McCutcheon goes up the inside of Larson. This is for 10th place, and just damage limitation for the Scotsman, and he's doing a pretty good job of that at the moment. I did say he'd get into the top 10, and well, he's doing that at the moment.
Ooh.
And that's Sorensen coming into the pits, one of our first race leaders to enter the pit lane.
Yes, and maybe that's an indication that actually the field doesn't go as far as what I was thinking. I thought they'd go over half an hour, but I don't know why he would pit early, you know, because he's going to come out in traffic and he's giving Friedrich clean air now. So wonder if everyone else will be in on this next lap. He was punching a hole in the air for the entire stint. There he goes, a little bit cautious into the pit box, may lose a few tenths of a second there, and this is the opportunity that Friedrich has been waiting for the entire stint, and he now needs to put in a brilliant in lap. in order to get that track position and crucially try to break the draft.
Definitely this in lap for him, if this is going to be his in lap, or maybe he might be able to extend it another lap or two, as we have seen some drivers be the ones that the kings of fuel saving. There's always that one guy who manages to go a lap ahead of everyone else, and it's just a demon when it comes to fuel saving. Who are we going to see do that this time round? Is Frejik going to come into this lap and maybe jump ahead of Sorensen? Interesting to find that one out. And while I was talking about tyres a couple laps ago, it looks like it is just going to be fuel again for this race. And I'm guessing if it's going to be fuel for this race, we're not going to see anyone worry about tyres at all for the rest of the season. As this is the crucial moment, as Andreas Frejik mounts the final few corners, he's taking a tight line. He is coming into the pit.
I mean, he's losing a few tenths of a second by doing that, right? You don't need to take the yellow line. He's lost a second.
You don't need to, no. Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, you don't need to. And you can be quite aggressive on the pit entry here as well. Everyone else is doing it, so we could be wrong, but...
I mean, yeah, maybe I'm right. I mean, I was literally stewarding a race earlier on today and seeing drivers not do it, and they didn't seem to get a penalty for it, so... not sure.
Maybe
I want to see if Sorensen does it. Please, Lasse, please prove me right. Or no, he's of course already pitted, hasn't he?
He's just
he'll continue. But yeah, maybe it's a league thing. So who is going to be ahead? Friedrich. Oh, Friedrich might be ahead because he had a quick pit stop. Look at Barry as well. Barry's getting so much time during this pit stop sequence. Sorensen is going to retake second place, but only just. This has worked out badly for Sorensen, brilliantly for Barry, who's got a chance at the race win now. I know he's at the back of this trio, but he was 3 seconds off the lead just a couple of minutes ago. Now he is right on their tails, and look at the run as well. Sorensen and Scott, he might even go for a move, but he has to back out of it. So at the moment then, it's Friedrich leading the way properly. McCutcheon still needs to pit, and that's worked out pretty well, but Barry is the real winner out of that.
I think it was it Monza? I don't know if he did this at Sebring as well, where Barry was one of the drivers to, I think he had like the fastest pit stop. And well, he's done it again, and well, fair play. Barry has brought himself back into this race. And a pit stop that was, I think, a second on average quicker than anyone else. And wow, that is incredible from Barry. And
there you go. That's how you take it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if it's a league thing where they said before the race that you have to follow into the pits on the yellow lines. And maybe McCutcheon might get a sneaky little penalty because of that. We'll find out. But either way, yeah, that is how you usually come into the pits at this track. And well, he's gone a lap extra than anyone else. And I did say there's that one guy who just manages to go a lap extra than anyone else. And he's managed to do it and should benefit from it. And he as well, that's the second quickest pit stop we've seen today, apart from Barry, who's just a demon. And looks like he might come out in 8th place. That's really helped him.
If he can get ahead of Gonzaga, that's a win. Wow, that's really good. That's really good for McCutcheon, because he was, as we've got to change the lead, Sorensen's got past Friedrich at the same place as he got it done earlier on, and that could be decisive. I'm unsure if Friedrich was waiting behind Sorensen earlier on, but he was not able to get past him in the person he got past during the pit stops. He's lost the lead again now, and he can't afford just to wait behind the Norwegian to the end now. He's got to pass him on track again if he is going to win this 3rd feature race of the season.
I was just looking at the pit stop times, and Sorensen actually had one of the slowest pit stops out for everyone on the grid. About average, looking at the timing screens, it seems to be around 12.8-ish seconds. There's a couple of drivers who went into the 13s, a couple of drivers who've gone below that, but Sorensen had a 14.2, which by the looks of it is the 2nd slowest pit stop on the, actually it's the 3rd slowest, including all of the drivers who've had a proper pit stop. So I'm not quite sure, maybe he was really pushing out in the lead.
I think it's just because, yeah, he had no slipstream. Like, everyone else has had a bit of slipstream for at least part of the race, whereas he was out there. And of course, these top guys as well will use more fuel because they're on the throttle more than the guys near the back. They're, you know, applying that brake that much more with more conviction. So yeah, they do usually use a bit more fuel. Here comes Barry, getting fairly close to Friedrich. I wonder if Barry will be thinking, well, I need to get past into second place now if I'm going to win this race. I've got the pace to win, but maybe Friedrich is the one who's going to hold me back. Friedrich is dropping back from the race leader at the moment. And this is looking very good for Sorensen right now. He is, if I was a bookies man, I'd be giving him a good 80% chance at winning this.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And to be honest, if a driver that's had a longer pit stop does end up getting ahead of you in track position, well, it's kind of game over, to be honest. Because, you know, that he probably took that long pit stop just to have a bit of a buffer with fuel so he can push. And like we said, with him being in clean air, it just didn't really help him at all. But now he's gotten ahead, it's going to be difficult for Barry or Friedrich to get that past. And yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think this is Sorensen's race to lose. Excuse me, that was a very strange burp.
Yeah, I could have really saved you there by talking immediately as you had it, but unfortunately I was mute for that moment. 0.8 of seconds as they approach the line, so not too much time lost on this lap by Friedrich, but Sorensen trying to break the draft. He knows how important that is. Unfortunately, through the S's section, you cannot break the draft because there's one line. If you're going to go offline through the S's, then you're going to just lose yourself more time because you're going to make the different parts of it more tight than they need to be. So through here, Friedrich can gain, and there's nothing to stop him from gaining. It's when they get back onto the straight. But that is the gain. You can see on the left side of the screen on the timing tower, a good, like, 3.5 tenths of a second gained for Friedrich, and he's back again a bit closer. He was 7 tenths behind at one point, now down to 4 tenths of a second behind, so it's still alive. Here is Seb Lip. Great to see him back in the series, and he's going to get good points. Well, he's certainly another championship contender, even though he missed a round back at Sebring. He is certainly one who will be near the championship summit by the end of the season. And of course, a reminder as well that these drivers are sort of just trying to get into the World Finals at the end of the year. The top drivers from the AM categories and the Pro categories from both the European and the Americas Championships qualify for the World Finals. And it's the top 13 out of the Pros and the top 8 from the AMs who get in. So that is partially what they're fighting for, and also, of course, the regular season title as well.
Oh, so it should be a good whole season then. Everyone trying to get into an esteemed championship, and honestly, in a season like this where you are kind of trying to go for that championship spot, do you focus on trying to finish the best you can in your championship and maybe take those risks, or just get in, you don't care where you finish in the championship and just focus on the one at the end? You know, it's a tough decision because, of course, the one who wins this championship is going to have a big advantage morally, and will just probably be the quickest driver on the track. It's a difficult game to play over the course of this long old season that we have, stretching all the way until the end of 2024 pretty much. And well, honestly, it's difficult to say what kind of season we're in for. We're a couple rounds in now, and it's still difficult to say. We've had plenty of incidents, plenty of drivers making mistakes. And well, speaking of, is Larson, who I believe just had a bit of an incident going into the chicane as he's trying to attack Gonzaga, and just got a bit out of shape and is now under pressure from Buson, who doesn't seem to be able to find a way through at the moment. But I think we're in for a really, really good season. You've got 2 different types of races every single day, and yeah, I really do not know who's going to win the Pros. AMs, I can hazard a guess, but the Pros is anyone's at the moment.
It is, and to be fair, in the AMs it should stay close, because even when Eulers like winning like this, it's only 2 extra points over Berger, because those Pros in between him and Berger don't count for anything. So it will just be 20 points to 18 points and across the evening, I think it will be 30 points to 27 points, if I've done the maths correct. So actually, Eula will only score 3 more points than Berger tonight, which doesn't seem quite right. Like, in terms of the amount of dominance that he has had, at least in this second race. Obviously, well, he may have got some bonuses as well for instance as well. But yeah, that is what it would be at the moment, at least when it comes to positions. So we tune back in with leads. Future's getting closer again. He was going away, and now he's getting closer again. And maybe a move could be on here, but it's not the easiest place to overtake this necessarily, at least when we're using this configuration of the circuit. When you've got the carousel at the end of the back straight, absolutely. But with the bus stop, it really does quell the overtaking quite some.
Definitely, and we mentioned it earlier on when we came here for the opening round of the Porsche Cup Championship a season ago, and I believe we used one of the more stranger layouts where it completely cuts out the boot section.
We used the NASCAR
of the track.
layout. Oh,
Yeah.
the old NASCAR layout, sorry.
And I mean that provided some amazing racing. I think I mentioned it. It was one of, in my opinion, the best opening rounds we've ever had. It was just so entertaining. And if you want to go watch it, go feel free. It's still up on Apex Racing TV. I think it was back in. Oh god, when did we start? I think it was December.
Yeah, that makes sense. December or November.
Yeah, I think it was. And it was an absolutely spectacular round. And definitely don't miss the season at all. And definitely not annoyed that you guys changed it to a studio broadcast. That's Eula.
They've been playing the sensible game, isn't he, Eula?
Yeah.
Because he's got pros around him, and he's like, I'm not fighting you guys.
It's
so
not
just
worth
go
it.
past me. So yeah, I mean, very sensible driving. Lip of the Sebastian variety versus Mats Jestrom-Bakken. And this is Jestrom-Bakken making his way past Lip. Lip had a poor lap that last round, lost 0.8 of a second to Jestrom-Bakken, who moves up into 5th place. Started 17th in this race to Jestrom-Bakken. I think he crashed at the bus stop earlier on. Could have been in for a good points haul, actually, good Jestrom-Bakken. But he's going to get a fair few, at least for this race too. And Lip is looking like he might go backwards because he's got another very quick driver behind him, John McHutchinson, who honestly, since like the first 5 laps of this race, has basically been faster than the leaders. Like, if he was with them, he'd be up there. But a bit of an underwhelming qualifying from McHutchinson sort of set him back in race 1, and then obviously he had the collision with Christoph Lip earlier on, which took him out of contention for this race too.
Yeah, well, I'm inclined to agree. He's had a really, really strong race, has McHutchinson, and yeah, it would have been amazing to see what he could have done had he just had a bit of a better finish. And it's about to get better for him as he makes his way past Sebastian Lip and up into 6th place. We did say that, excuse me again, I don't know what's going on with me today. The fact that I thought he might be able to get into 7th, but he's put on a really, really impressive performance. And could get one better. He could get Gresham-Barkin as well. Bjorklund if he gets lucky, if he makes some kind of mistake. As we've only got about 4 minutes left to go in this race, and well, we're catching back up with the leaders once again. Looks like this is going to be a very, very spicy battle all the way until the end. Not sure how much Barry can do in that 3rd place spot. I think he just kind of has to watch on in awe, to be honest. And I've spoken about this a couple of times when we were doing the Formula 4 broadcast, that when you're 3rd in a 3-car train, there's not really much you can do. You just kind of have to sit back and watch. And if you get involved, it's just more likely to end in a crash or something bad happening. So, and it's harder for you to get involved. As you can see, Barry he's got some good pace, and you know why he was dropping back earlier on was probably because he was saving fuel. And well, at the moment he's keeping tabs, but just cannot get close enough to the 2 people ahead of him, and he's just got to be patient, wait for an opportunity to try and overtake one of his 2 adversaries. And could we see Barry take a surprise win? It looks like at the moment we're focusing on Fredrik and Sorensen, but do not count the Brit out in 3rd.
Yeah, I think, as you say, he sort of just got to wait for his opportunity to take it when he can. Berger versus Locke going on. Locke was ahead of Berger earlier on after early setbacks for Gabriel Berger, but he has come back since then, so he's up into 15th place, and crucially, second place out of the AM drives, but he is dropping into the clutches of Locke slightly, so whilst he did get past earlier on, maybe at this point of the race, doesn't quite have the same speed. Change for lead. Friedrich, has he got clear? He has! And the man who led the race and lost it, then took it back, and then lost it, has taken it back again. And it is Andreas Friedrich, who is on course now for a double race victory, and will be very close to the championship lead if it ends like this. Sorensen with a messy bus stop. He's left himself with 3/4 of a second to gain now, and the roles have reversed. And we've only got one more lap to go after this. Friedrich might be uncatchable now.
Yeah,
oh,
I think
no, there's a car in the middle of
there's
the track, and that has destroyed Friedrich's lead.
Well,
And he might even lose the lead, because here comes Sorensen. He's going to come back on the outside, and what a change between these drivers. Friedrich did nothing wrong. He did the right thing at being cautious, and he's got to do it all over again with a lap and a bit to go.
I was going to say, this is going to be white flag when we cross the line. And, well, it's just made that last lap even more entertaining. I have no idea what's going through the head of Sorensen or Friedrich even. But honestly, whoever that lapped car was, I'm not sure who it was.
Dean Gregory.
He's going to have to deal with a very strongly worded Friedrich after this race, as he could have just cost him the win. It is white flag. And, well, this is going to be a very entertaining last few laps. It will be incredibly close. This is the best opportunity that Friedrich is going to have. And the thing about this is neither of them are going to give each other any room. They're not going to go easy on each other through this bus stop chicane. Friedrich gets a decent run on him, but he does back out. He does choose to be cautious. And maybe Friedrich is just a little bit more level-headed than I thought, which fair play to the man. As McHutchison, just 10 seconds back, is trying to overtake Grestenbach. And I did say it was possible, and he might get P5, which will be very, very good for his championship hopes, coming all the way from 18th place. He's put on probably the best drive out of everyone today, and he would be my pick if we did have a driver of the day system for it. He's done an amazing job, but I think this could be Friedrich's last chance. Can he get close enough as we head into turn 8? I don't think he is. 2/10 might not sound like a lot, but trust me, at a track like this it is. And it looks like it's running out of time for Friedrich. He hasn't got many opportunities to overtake Sorensen.
He lost it.
He spun round. He spun the car, and he's all the way down to 3rd place now. And could he be under pressure from Bjorklund? I think he's just safe, as McHutchison and Grestenbach can still go wheel to wheel for 5th place. But it's going to be Lasse Sorensen who got a stroke of luck, but ends up taking the victory here at Watkins Glen. A fantastic drive from him to hold off Friedrich and Barry in the end. Friedrich is going to be so gutted. I feel so bad for him. He's going to be angry, sad. I don't know. We might be able to catch a word with him at some point, but McHutchison managed to get past Gresham Barkin as well for 5th place. And once again, like I said, he is my pick for a driver of the day. He's really impressive stuff from the Scotsman, and goes to show why he's a veteran of the series. But Sam, we expected chaos, and I think we got it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad as well there for Friedrich, because in that scenario, and I'm always someone who complains when drivers don't slow for yellow flags, and he slowed for the yellow flags. Like, he did the right thing, you know? Like, he did the thing that avoided having a collision. Had he bombed it around that corner, maybe he would have hit the spinning car, and it would have been a disaster. And he was the first one amongst it as well. Like, the others could react to it as well. Like, there really was nothing that he did wrong. You can say that he was too cautious, but like, you don't know where the car is in that scenario. You gotta take some caution when you've got a championship to worry about. And there he was, just taking a tight exit. There he was, has to get out the throttle in order to avoid. And it was just the way that Sorensen's line was that it gave him the chance. and was able to get back ahead and held on to it to the end.
Yeah, like you said, I feel so bad for Frederick, and it got worse for him. Of course, he ended up spinning and losing out to Barry in the end. And well, Barry, obviously, I believe we're correct in saying that he definitely will be leader of the championship. Now, second place for him is really impressive. And he seems to be the king of fuel saving, as an 11.5 pit stop is unreal compared to the rest of the grid. And those few seconds gave him that all needed points and ended up finishing second. And yeah, what a race. And Frederick is going to be absolutely heartbroken.
He will be. There is the final results. 20 points going to Sorensen. We don't know what the situation is when it comes to incidents. Actually, no, to be fair, we can actually figure it out. So Sorensen got... I can't see, I've got the overlay on top of it. Anyway, I might have a bit of a look to see who got the bonus points. Sorensen anyway wins the 20 points for his position. Then it's Barry, who's now the championship leader. Friedrich, I think, might be up to second place in the championship now. Then it's Bjorklund. McHutchinson will be third place in championship. He actually came in third place in championship. He overtakes the two guys he was in behind, but he loses positions to the two cars he was ahead of. Then it's Jestrin back and Sebastian Lipp. Tom Euler with an amazing performance. He has got a cushion out in the lead of the AMS now. Then it is Larson, Gonzaga, Buson, Iani, I'm sorry, Dennis. I usually pronounce your name really well. I need to stop overthinking it. Kyriakopoulos, there you go, ahead of Bremer, and there was Locke and Berger. So Locke did actually get ahead of Berger. Berger was really struggling in those closing stages, maybe some tyre issues for the man who ended up in third in the AMS. Then Scarrett, Hogg, Clark, Scar, Dinskas, Stenswood, Robertson, Guy, Gregory, Mellis, Craig Gregory, Christoph Lipp, William Deek, Brown, Laliva, and Reitinen, who unfortunately did not put in a lap today in practice qualifying. Maybe he did practice, don't think he did qualifying, or either of the races. Let's have a chat with a couple of our drivers, shall we? And I think first up, I will drag. Well, you know what? I'm going to drag in Tom Euler first up because Tom had pretty much a perfect evening. Congratulations, Tom. That is amazing stuff. That's now 4 consecutive wins in the series by my count. You extend your championship lead even further than what it was. I'm definitely looking as well to see how you did when it comes to the bonus points. But either way, I mean, 30 points tonight is phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know what to say. I think I had really luck in the beginning because I think Gabriel died somewhere and then I had really no other competition. Yeah, so it was a nice race.
Yeah, talk us through that race one actually, because it was a really good battle with you and Gabrielle. Because you were, both of you were in amongst the pro drivers. I mean, what is it like to be racing against those pro drivers? Because obviously it doesn't matter where you finish in comparison to them, but you know, you got Berger not too far behind you as well. You got to worry about him. So what was going through your mind in that race?
Yeah, I think the biggest part was just trying to stay safe. So don't make anything dumb, especially in the bus stop. That was a little bit tricky. At least at one point in the sprint, because I lifted to give Sebastian the better spot. But then I think Kim took the opportunity. So it was really like managing my risk and just staying safe the whole race.
Definitely. And then in the race 2, you were just out in the lead comfortably, really. You know, was there ever a chance at getting the bonus points for the incidents? I'm seeing that you got 2 incidents, I think. So I think, is that 1 bonus point?
I think it's 1. But
Yeah.
but I don't quite sure. If you didn't mention it, I would forgot that there are bonus points.
Well, I'm very glad that you managed to pick up one of them. I think that
Yeah.
takes you up to 31. And yeah, in the championship now, I mean, you are going to be a long way ahead because De Graaf wasn't around tonight. Laliva had a mare. Locke did all right, of course, so I guess he'll be second in the championship now. But you must be delighted with how these first 3 rounds have gone.
Yeah, it was the first race in Monza was really weird because the draft was so strong and you really have to yield like on the straight. It was weird, but Z-Ring and Watkins Glen was really great for me. So I hope it continues that way.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, Tom, on the race wins tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Probably my team that really helped me and supports me. On the other hand, I would like to thank Kane Halliburton. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. I had a training session, I think 2 weeks ago, which really helped my driving. I got really faster through it, so yeah. So it's my team and Kane, so I think you guys know him.
Yeah, I mean, Kane's a legend of the
Yeah.
Radicals. I mean, yeah, been around since I was on iRacing. So, yeah, really good job. And yeah, I don't think there's anyone better to get lessons from. So, yeah, cool to hear his name once again in the Radical circles. And, well, thanks very much for joining us, Tom. And we'll see you back next time.
Yeah, thanks, have a nice evening.
Tom Euler there with 2 race wins tonight. Aaron, who are you going to drag up?
Well, it's not like I've got much choice at all, but I'm not complaining. We have got our race winner overall today in that second race. Let's say Sorensen, just talk us through that absolutely just chaotic final few laps and how you're feeling.
I'm feeling so good. Finally, the practice gave some benefits. So I'm super stoked and happy. It was so hard. I was sure that Friedrich would go out in front after the pit with more margin than he had, because I was in the front all the time, so I couldn't save any fuel. I was pushing all the way just to try to make a gap to P3, and I would be happy with P2, of course. But I managed to get past him and keeping behind all the rest of the race, so I'm just super happy.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot blame you. It was an absolutely just chaotic race in both races, and at times the race looked a bit in doubt for you. Just talk us through the pit stop sequence as well, which was one of the key factors in that second race. What caused you to have a bit of a slow first stop?
Oh, the stop was only because I needed to fill more fuel, because they were saving behind hold the first stint, Friedrich the whole stint in the draft. P3 was getting some behind the draft mid first stint, but I needed to fill I think 3-4 liters more, so then it's like 2 seconds off. So I really needed to push to get back in the game.
Well, at least you had the fuel to eventually win the race. And as well with this win, do you think it's going to be a bit of a boost for you and your team to possibly boost you up in that championship? And do you think you'll be able to fight all the way until the end?
Definitely we are. We have been practicing more this week. Mats was unlucky here. He has been fast the whole week at the officials. Ketil have been too much working, so we haven't had any practice before he started the practice session today, and only one stint, so that's why he is a little bit off pace, but I think we are able to be fighting for wins in the future as well.
Well, that's absolutely amazing to hear, and well, congratulations, Sorensen. And before you let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, it's always the team, especially for all the good things we do together and all the practice. Sande Trafikkskole, our main sponsor, and also IGL Coatings, and not at least Kane Halliburton for good help this week.
Well, congratulations, Sorensen, and well, we'll see you next time out in about 3 weeks' time.
Thank you so much, mate.
That was Lasse Sorensen there, winner in race 2 and our highest point scorer across the meeting as well. I think he got a bonus point as well because he only got 2 instants, so very profitable meeting for him. Next up, a little bit of a left field circuit, I would say, and Interlagos, a circuit that we all know so well, and yet I think nowadays on iRacing, partially because it looks absolutely awful on the sim, like the graphics on that place are dreadful. We don't visit it too much, but yeah, bit of a unique one, I think. where it's a circuit that, at least as far as I'm aware, really is very rarely used now in the service.
Yeah, I think it's a shame, but both the fact that it is a bit old now and the fact that it doesn't get used often, because I like Interlagos. I think it's just a good track for racing, for just hot lapping, just for having a bit of fun. I think it should be used more and probably does need an update. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a nice change of pace from what we've had. The likes of today should be some nice, tightly packed racing, and all the way until the end, and there should be some good fun.
Yeah, we look forward to that. That is in not too far. That's 3 weeks away until that round. So do make sure to keep your eyes out for that one. Of course, do give the Radical a go when it comes to iRacing. You can join the official series any time of day. We have the Strength of Field race on a Friday night. We've also got not just the European Championships, but also the Americas Championship as well. I think the Americas Championship might still have a few spots available as well to join. So do check out radicalsimracing.com in order to check out more details. Join the Discord as well. You'd be very welcome to, and also the official series Radical Discord as well. Really is a fantastic group of people, many of whom were taking part in tonight's race, and so yeah, do just check it out, really. Of course, if you would be so kind, please do leave a like on this video and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, because we do many more races similar to this, and you can watch all of them on the channel. We've got a new TCR GT4 series starting up on Monday nights very soon, but we're also covering GTs and prototypes and endurance racing as well. CMS is currently going on, so do make sure to tune in for all of those broadcasts. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith, and from Samuli Kumo, we are going to say goodbye to you from the Radical Sim Racing European Championship, and we'll see you back in 3 weeks' time at Interlagos. See you then.